And hello to anybody who's started joining us for this conversation. Um, Hi, my name's Julia. I'm from the Playwright Center. Glad to have you here. We are going to be starting at 7 o'clock, so in about 13 minutes. So you're in the right place. You can just grab a glass of water and then we'll be good to go. We are not going to see or hear any of you, but if you do drop a comment on Playwright Center's Facebook or HowlRound's Facebook, then we will see those. Thank you so much. And hi, everybody joining us on the Playwright Center page, the HowlRound page, or on Facebook. You're in the right place for our conversation tonight. We'll be starting in about 10 minutes at 7 o'clock. So you are where you need to be, but you can take a little break before we get started. We are not going to see or hear any of you, but if you can hear me and you can see our slide, then you are going to be able to see and hear our panelists just fine. Hello, good evening to everybody who's signed on. You are in the right place for our conversation this evening. Whether you're on the HowlRound page, the Playwright Center page, or on Facebook, we're glad to have you. You will not be seen or heard. We are just going to be streaming out, but if you can hear my voice and see this standby slide, then you are all set and have everything you need to watch the conversation. Hello, good evening to everybody who's signed on. You are in the right place for our conversation. And hi, everyone. Good to see some names popping up. I think Facebook only lets me see a couple people's names, so I can't greet all of you, but hi, Barb and Crystal and Janet and Candace. Good to see you all and everybody else. Whether you're on the Playwright Center page, the HowlRound page, or on Facebook, we're glad to have you. You are in the right place for tonight's conversation. We'll start in about 4 minutes at 7 o'clock. You won't be seen or heard, so we're just streaming out to you. But if you can hear my voice and see our standby slide, then you have everything you need to watch the conversation. And hi, everybody. I'll do my little spiel one more time. You are in the right place to join us for tonight's conversation, whether you are on the Playwright Center page, the HowlRound page, or on Facebook. We're very glad to see you here. We'll be starting in just about a minute at 7. So we will not be seeing or hearing any of you. This is just a stream, but you can also comment in the Facebook with questions, which we'll talk about later. But that's kind of our way that we get to engage with you. Like to see the likes coming in. Thank you so much. Hey, Shannon. I'm going to just turn off your video just for the moment before we get started. And in just a minute, I'll turn it over to Jeremy.
Hello, everyone. How are you all? I wish I could be with you in person and see you all and connect with you all and give you a hug. I miss everyone so much. It's lovely to have you with us tonight. Thank you so much for being here. And welcome to the Playwright Center, or a version of it online, at least for the moment. My name is Jeremy Cohen. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the producing artistic director here at the Playwright Center. And on behalf of our board and staff, and now the over 2,200 playwrights we support each year, I'm so pleased to welcome you to the first conversation of our summer series, Black Made That. We have folks tuning in online, as we've been able to hear and see, from all over the globe to be with us tonight. So just on behalf of everyone in Minnesota and the Twin Cities, and certainly at the Playwright Center, we are just sending you much love and health right now. Wear a mask. In the middle of this moment of justice and activism, art making and transformation, we are gathering together this summer at the Playwright Center to hear from an extraordinary set of artists. For us at the center, we are an artist service organization, and so we think of the artists that we exist to serve as the leaders in many, many ways. So we value the centering of what we think of as artistic leadership, and really artist leadership, and how we make our decisions and how we think about our programming. And I can't think of a better artist to guide this moment with us and for us, alongside us and in front of us, than the extraordinary Shá Cage and this amazing group of artists that you'll get to spend time with tonight. Coming up at the Playwright Center, we have in the summer series 3 other amazing conversations during July and August. The next one is on Tuesday, July 28th at 7 p.m. Central, and focuses on transforming artistic relationships, looking at new models of partnership between playwrights and theaters and how we change some broken systems going forward. This discussion includes brilliant playwrights Pearl Clegg, oh my God, and Harrison David Rivers and Vera Starbard, as well as artistic leaders like Alyssa Adams and Leslie Ishii from Perseverance Theater. Details on this and all of our conversation can be found at pwcenter.org. I want to thank our incredible partners at HowlRound TV for live streaming tonight's conversation, as well as the 3 others in this summer series. These live streams are being produced for the HowlRound Theatre Commons, an incredible commons, an incredible place for discussion and discourse, especially right now. I also want to send a special thank out to our supporting sponsor for this series, Knock Inc., whose underwriting has helped bring tonight's conversation to you free of charge, while ensuring that we can, of course, always pay artists for their time and for their work. Tonight's discussion will be approximately about 75 minutes long. There will be a Q&A section in the middle of the conversation. So when Shá gives you the word, around 7:45 or so, you can send your questions to Shá and the cohort in one of 2 ways. You can email us at questions@pwcenter.org, or if you're viewing this live on Facebook, post your question in the comment section there, and we'll be able to get it and direct it back to Shá there. And again, that email, one more time, is questions@pwcenter.org. When I moved here 10 years ago, Shá Cage was one of the first artists I met in town, and I have reflected on that moment as one of my first true knowings and understandings of the Twin Cities and how it was going to become a home for me. Shá is a writer, an activist, a theater and film performer, a director, raised in Mississippi and living in Minnesota for a while now, and who has been called a change maker, one of the leading artists of her generation, a mover and a maker. Her poetry has been featured in several publications, including Blues Vision, the St. Paul Almanac, and the Family Housing Fund's Home Series. Her plays include 5 solo works and a number of other pieces, including a forthcoming commission about human trafficking. She holds both Emmy and Ivy Awards, a McKnight Theater Artist Fellowship, a TCG Fellowship, 5 Artist of the Year recognitions, and international awards for film features. She was a co-founder and co-writer of 5 plays with Mama Mosaic Theater, and has been using art to elevate Black and Brown narratives through True Roots for over 20 years. And just recently, and what has brought us together tonight, Shá led and launched the incredible A Moment of Silence, a living historical archive and celebration of Blackness, launched through the commissioning of over 50 Black Minnesotan voices during this moment of transformation. And you can find the anthology online at blackmnvoices.com. That's blackmnvoices.com. This project is one of the primary catalysts for bringing us together tonight. So please, 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 if you haven't seen the work of these incredible artists and Shay's vision, please log on and check it out. Again, blackmnvoices.com. Read the essays, listen, reflect, and share out the work of these amazing artists who are based here in Minnesota. I could go on all night about this incredible project, but rather than do that, much more importantly, please help me welcome to the screen the one and only Shá Cage.
Hey.
Love you. Have fun.
Love you too. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm just so tickled and excited to bring these amazing artists on. So I'm just gonna ask Shannon Gibney, Danez, and JuCoby Johnson to open up your screen so that we can see your beautiful faces. I am just thrilled to have some audience, even though we can't see y'all, we can feel y'all. So we just give you our energy and our love. Shannon, where you at? We can't.
I think somebody made it impossible for me to turn on my, I keep on trying to, and it says, okay now.
Hey,
Yes.
Beautiful Black faces. So I love making Black space, yeah? And I was telling the folks at the Playwright Center and these wonderful artists that have said yes to being here, knowing that they could be in 100 other places of importance.
No, we can't, it's Corona.
Well, what kinda? You can be outside. So there are no rules right now. I mean, I know, we can be formal, but I know that, but I just want to have fun. I feel like we're all carrying a lot, not just us, but the people in the audience. We've been through a lot in the last month, the last couple months. But I just can't even tell you guys how giddy I was waking up this morning for this. And there's been some heavy stuff on my heart lately, but this brings me great joy, not only to lift up a moment of silence, but it's just rare that you get these kind of spaces with artists that, are so loved and appreciated already in the community. But I hardly even get like 5 minutes with them. So now I got a whole hour and 15 minutes. So I would like to just frame the conversation briefly and get on in it. We are going to love on each other's pieces and just give each other love energy, love stares, and frame it in the sense of Black made that. So I am a mother of 2 children, 2 Black brown boys, and we are often talking about the power of Black in our family ever since they were little. And my brother, who's a pastor, he invited us to his church once, and he showed this film, that has never left these kids, and it was called Black Made That, but it was this like hip hop version of like everything you know that you might use, but you didn't know that somebody Black made it. And it just really transformed sort of their concept of what they had been learning at home and sort of the reality of like our infinite possibilities. So everywhere we go, especially when we travel, I'm like, Black made that. And they're like, Mama, Black made that. You know, they're using the ironing board today and they're like, Black made this. So I really want to uphold, you know, so that's where our title comes from for anybody that's like, why did they name it Black Made That? I want to shout out Sarah Boone, because the ironing board is something that we do use often. And the ironing board as we know it is thanks to Miss Sarah Boone, a Black female. And also before security systems became famous or known, the African-American nurse Mary Van Britten Brown discovered or invented and patented the security system for her own home. She was somebody that lived in Queens, New York, and her husband was often working and away. And she was like, she came up with this patent. And I just want to thank her for that as well. And there's a whole list of other inventions. And I just encourage anybody that's out there, particularly allies on the line, do some research, pull up some stuff, and teach these young ones and some old ones of some of the things and inventions, the mighty inventions that we use every day, and we don't give praise and acknowledgement to Black folks. In particular, we have Black folks on the line who are makers and creators of literary works. So I have asked you guys to introduce yourself. How y'all feeling, first of all? How you feeling, Danez? Open up, do you guys have noise in your spaces? Can we open our mics just for a second? Just say hey.
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 Hey, hey.
Hey, y'all feeling good? Yeah.
Yeah, I just had dinner that I didn't have to cook, and my kids, you know, didn't, you know, throw everything on the floor. And yeah, I'm great. I get to be with you all and talk about the major issues of the day, share in art. I'm very well. I'm very good.
Fantastic. And you, JuCoby, you good?
I'm good. I'm good. I have not had my dinner yet, but I'm gonna have it after this. I made some homemade gnocchi, which I've never done before, and I'm very excited about it. So
that's what's up. That's what's up, Danez. People are getting creative in their home spaces, just so you know. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, apparently. I went over to JuCoby's for some gnocchi later. That sounded about good. I just had me a can of Campbell's. It was kind of sad, but I spiced it up. I love it.
Okay, so I've asked each of you to introduce yourselves actually with a piece, so that I'm not spieling your bios at the top. And I love that. I just think sometimes when we get a chance to introduce ourselves with our own work, followed by however we want to formally introduce ourselves and maybe say a few things about what we feel most proud of. So however you all want to do that, I just wanted to start off by reading the small introduction that we have on the website. So for those that are listening in that haven't been to the website, we see the website, it's as a growing historical archive. And so its current state, you know, so you might have looked at it last week and it may have grown a little bit, and then 2 or 3 weeks from now, it'll continue to grow. And what I always am reminding people of in these weeks that we're still living and breathing the new reality is that we're not living in a past moment. Yeah, we're right in it. We're still responding. Even at the memorial site, it continues to change. So I want to say George Floyd's name. I want to center his spirit in this space, and all of those that have left our presence or been taken away much too soon. And so I just want to read. I want to read the introduction, and then I'm gonna pass the mic to my comrades, starting with Shannon, to bring in the strong literary work. What a blessing to have 55 plus Black artists as part of this project. to uphold our own narratives, for us to be able to say, we ain't waiting on nobody, we putting it out there. For us to say Black made that and it looked good and it feels fine and shiny and rough and rigid and just continues to be generative. So if you go to that website and you look at, the first thing that you'll see is photos that are from the movement that different photographers have taken. And then you will see, you'll scroll down and you'll see an introduction from me, and it reads, "We are gathered here in this virtual space of Blackness to speak our names, to breathe air into our narratives and acknowledge their rightful place in history and in this moment. The writers here are essential, necessary culture bearers to the geography we call home, Minnesota. We look not to other establishments to make room for us, for we will make our own bed scented with rose water and patchouli. In this living historical archive, we will document this and all that is held in between. In a state where there are less than 6% of us, we find each other and we plant gardens in each other's chests. We will meet the morning sunrise with a roll call of our loved ones, those who have survived the pandemic, the bullets, and the never-ending list of isms that threaten to wear us down. We will say his name, George Floyd. Daily, our existence as Black bodies in white space is threatened. Yet daily, we lift up our joy, our truths, our voices as an act of resistance. I invite community to pause and bear witness to what some of the leading Black voices of our time are saying, feeling, and existing at this moment of deep historical transformation. A space where we stand together in mindfulness, in emotional liberation, where we process and heal our trauma and green, flourishing deliverance, where we wake up and face the sun with hope and cosmic dreaming, where we can still hear our ancestors' whispers in our ears, where we sing to the babies on the shores of these 10,000 lakes and they hopscotch and dig marble holes in the soft brown dirt, where we are full from Auntie's garden blessings and we can rest in hand-woven hammocks around dusk, reading these pandemic survival uprising stories to each other, these blue-Black phoenix rising, making a way when there was none. We thrive in the presence of Black, oh, we still hear stories. There is laughter and deep debate, politicking and scribing. There is performance and revival here, for art is always at the center. There is remembrance, and always there is a moment of silence. For George Perry Floyd, for Breonna Taylor, for Philando Castile, for Jamar Clark, for Christopher Burns, for those lost to COVID-19, for mothers who stay up late waiting for daughters and sons who will never return. May your spirits find peace in Black space. I invite Shannon to start us up with our first piece and introduction of yourself.
Thank you, Shá. That was beautiful. I feel like it really set the tone.
Thank you.
I'm gonna read a piece that I wrote actually for the Star Tribune to reflect on the George Floyd murder and where we're at right now. I always go back to Baldwin, and this is Baldwin. Try to imagine how you would feel if you woke up one morning. Oh, that's not good. Sorry about that. Did not know that was there. I always go back to Baldwin. Try to imagine how you would feel if you woke up one morning to find the sun shining and all the stars aflame. You would be frightened because it is out of the order of nature. Any upheaval in the universe is terrifying because it so profoundly attacks one's sense of one's own reality. While the Black man has functioned in the white man's world as a fixed star, as an immovable pillar, and as he moves out of his place, heaven and earth are shaken to their foundation. This quote is from The Fire Next Time, James Baldwin's seminal collection of essays on race, power, and politics. It was published in 1962, but might as well have been written yesterday. Baldwin's prescient observations about the psychology of American racism have always felt like a revelation to me. A voice from the grave whispering earth-shattering truths in my ear that should have been obvious. Even after 60 years, Baldwin's words still manage somehow to occupy the present tense. To have effectively described the roots of white denial and disbelief that not only Black people, but much of the nation, including Black, Brown, Indigenous, and even some white folks, are just done with the American police state and its relentless destruction of Black bodies. That is something else. That is divination. The white hand-wringing, what can we do? The images circulating everywhere, more popping up every day, fresh evidence of police abuse against protesters, the growing number of injured or even killed, the carnage of burning buildings and broken windows, and the reliable echoes of that ever-loved rhetorical question. But why would they bring such destruction to their own communities? The reclamation of the bad apple argument, the violent white nationalists who always manage to be both well-organized and a complete shock to their fellow white folks' sense of reality, infiltrating protests in communities in Minneapolis and beyond, holding rallies in our parks and attempting to burn down libraries and minority-owned businesses. Our political leadership's profound inability to understand the violence that is unfolding, that has always been with us, but which hasn't had a wellspring big enough from which to burst up till now. Their shock at watching civil society collapse so quickly, the disbelief that this is happening on top of another crisis, COVID-19, the insistence that this virus is more deadly than racism, so protest is a public health hazard. The many past failed attempts at reforming the seemingly intractable police state, the chanting growing louder and louder, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. All of these are Baldwin's stars aflame. Jamar Clark, Philando Castile, George Floyd, all those ghosts, all those Black bodies that were heretofore immovable pillars are now on the move. They walk among us and we among them, the living merging with the dead. They will have their day. They will be heard. And their voices are what is shaking heaven and earth to their foundation. Thanks for listening.
It's beautiful, Shannon. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. How would you introduce yourself? I mean, I know that people have access to the bio that's online, but what do you yourself, as a brown-bodied person, you know, what do you want to lift up in your bio? How should I introduce you or you introduce yourself?
I would say, I usually just say that I'm a writer, a mama, a teacher, and a lover, and a nerd, you know, I'm a big nerd too. Yeah.
That's
probably enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next we will turn it to Danez.
All right.
Danez Smith.
All right. I'm still a little caught up in emotions from Shannon's wonderful essay and from the introduction, Shay. So excuse me if I need a moment in one of these poems. Okay, I'm gonna read some poems, y'all. And then I'm gonna get out the way. I'm gonna read two. The poems are short. This first one I wrote back in April. These are both the poems of the anthology. So this one I wrote back in April when it was only Corona times and not Corona and uprising times. And yeah, I did this on I wrote this after me and my partner would take the same run route at different times of the day. And just have very different thoughts about Lick of the Owls when we were both running through it, which is not close to me, but is close enough to run to. And my partner is a visual artist, and so that's where it kind of starts, is me looking at their paintings and thinking about them. Cool. Lick of the Owls. My love paints graffiti all over the fancy houses in their comics, wraps them with monsters, fills them with better people. I do not color my hands against the mansions that gentrify my sight when I run the water's limit. I don't even think of running up on the houses I run past. I don't run too slow past the neighbors who would call the cops on me if I looked with too much attention, looking like myself. This is how the state disrupts me. Pigs patrolling my mirror. The criminal maybe keeps my pace up through here with not a problem. No, sir. No, sir. Just passing by. Just one of the neighborhood's brief phenomena. Man spinning concrete into rent. Not my father's race, but his skin tone. Attending to someone else's home in the season of distance. And the pigeons with the shadows of eagles. The squirrels whirling up trees to fight mid-sky. White people masked in comfort and trust in doctors. The dog shit like tiny mountains of dog shit. And the cars filled with who they filled with. And the cop car just riding through because there's nothing to see here. Cool. And then this is called Alive. It's 4 Kwanzabas. Kwanzabas are a Kwanzaa inspired. Happy Kwanzaa, everybody. 365, 366. But Kwanzabas are little Kwanzaa inspired poems that are each 7. There's a dispute whether it's 7 words per line or 7 syllables per line. I liked words, so that's the Google search that I followed when I did this.
He Black made that. See that?
I Black made that. And just like anything Black made, there's disputes and also about how you do it. Do you put eggs in your mac and cheese? Let's discuss. Exactly. I don't, but I hear some of y'all do. Do you like sugar on your grits for some reason? Okay.
Oh, I won't have it in my house. The kids try to do it. I'm like, no.
There's
butter.
No, there's no sugar in this poem's grits, but there is sugar in my tank. Okay.
Hey.
Boom. All right. Alive. 1. Danez, stop acting shook when Black folks are alive. Quit the dream of early kill and sooner dirt, it's no dream. Free them boys caged in those sonnets. You are not Warden, not Reaper, not the Fates, not their damn mama. Alive is a thing we can be too. Look. 2. You are not dead and Popeyes is out of spicy. In heaven, they'd never. In heaven, even they biscuits be moist. But heaven ain't yours yet. Them biscuits dry as fuck. So God gave you honey and tea and kisses and lovers who spit in your mouth when asked. 3. The body is the body and inside there's a person. Imagine that. Imagine Black, devoid of death. Imagine us endless until. If they kill you, they kill you. Until then, they can't touch you. We all die, even God. Don't run from death. Let it chase you. Play. 4. 3 girls play in church outside. 3 girls play in church with a stump for a pulpit. Reason enough for today. You, a man passing by, auntie trapped in your deacon body. Don't mean to look like danger, but you were born boy. But you don't smell like run. Amen, gifted right back. Heaven enough for now. Cool. They're my little poems.
Hey. Oh, what a wonderful way to start with you, Shannon, and roll right into Danez. Okay, so how would you introduce? Okay, so you both. So Shannon, I know you were not born in Minnesota, but Danez, you were born.
I was born right here. I was just like many people, I am a good old Southern transplant by way of my grandmama who great migrated her way up here. And my granddaddy. Yeah. So I was born in St. Paul, Rondo neighborhood. And I think that's how I introduced myself. Like, the only thing that's always consistent my bio. My bio at this point, my preferred bio was just like Danez Smith is Black and queer and is from St. Paul. And that's all you need to know. And then I'm Googleable, my resume talks stuff for me, but all I really care about is that, I don't know, I feel very blessed to be from here and to have got to learn to be an artist here and to come up under folks like you, Shá. Because I think that is really the introduction is I want to be an artist and what it means to be a Minneapolis artist and a Black Minnesotan, I think, which is to make art that that is urgent with both its protection and its love towards our folks here. So that's
and I really just want to say I appreciate, Danez, I've, of course, read your work, your poetry, as well as an essay just gutted me. Was it in the Atlantic? The one that
the
you,
New Yorker joint? Yeah.
Yeah, that one just gutted me. Oh my God, like in the best way possible. And but it's different when you see somebody read their own work, it's different. So I really appreciated that. It was really moving. Thank you.
That's funny that you say that, Shannon, because even at my kids' school, they were saying that they had some of your work, and they were going to read it in their classes. I'm like, no, get her in here to read it herself. And they were like, we will. So, oh, what a joy. What a joy. Okay, JuCoby, hey.
Hey.
So we're going to turn it over to you, JuCoby, for whatever you want to share with us. And I can't help myself, but I might have lied. I might have to drop some of you guys' bio credits just so, because there may be some random on the line that's just like, I just stumbled on this line and these people are amazing. I don't know who they are. Yeah. So I might have to. Okay, the space is yours, JuCoby.
Cool. This is a piece I wrote a couple years back when we got the verdict around Philando Castile's murder, and we realized that we were again going to be denied justice for that. And I sort of went into a long depression, like a 3-4 month long. I was sort of, acting out in ways that I hadn't before and being a person that I wasn't really proud of. And I was sitting in rehearsal one day for a play I was doing over at the Jungle, and I realized I needed to write some stuff down and exercise this a little bit in order to move on. So this is a piece that I wrote called Where the Fear Comes From. I am trying to love myself more, and it's harder than I thought. There are people in my life who tell me I'm worthy of love, and I believe them, up to a point. The point where I look in the mirror, or make a joke nobody laughs at, or make a mess of the love I've been given. Those moments amplify and replay in my mind like B-roll of a bad film. But I'm trying to love myself more because I love the world. Even when I hate the world and the world hates me, I love the world. And because I am a part of the world, I am trying to love myself more. Because I have been loved in my life. Lovers have whispered in my ear, I love you, in the night. They have held my hand in the dark. They have kissed my lips in the rain. And I have thought to myself, I wish I loved me the way you love me. I'm trying to love myself more so that I can love someone else, without fear that their love might fade, without fear that someone will love them more, without fear that my love isn't big enough, or deep enough, or real enough. I want to love all the way, without half measures or conditions, or lies so big that the wall between us can never be broken down, or leapt over. I am trying to love myself more because my country does not, and my people do, but with conditions, and my family does, but we don't discuss it, and God does, but there are too many to pin down which one. And I want my thoughts to be my own, and I want to want things, and I want to dream in color, and I want to feel real, and I want to stand tall, and I want to hear I love you and believe it fully. And I want my soul to burst open, and I want to show you what's inside and know that I exist. I'm trying to love myself more, and it's harder than I thought. So yeah. That's that.
Hey, Ashe. We've been EG's been showing the boys a lot of documentaries, and I particularly love learning about the relationship with James Baldwin and Maya Angelou, and just all of his interviews where he talks about love and like the process of loving oneself and then falling in love with oneself again. And just the way that he talks about it is something that it hit a chord in me the first time I heard it. but so something is resonant in your piece with one of his interviews that I heard. Thank you for that, particularly at a time in our nation and our cities where, yeah, we have to question how we're loved, and where do we get that? Where do we get what we need to fill us up? So we're gonna pour into each other in this time. We love you. We love you. I'm gonna just. I'm going to say, and clearly the O'Neill loves you too, as you're a finalist this year. So congratulations. I'm just giving y'all some love and shout outs from your bios. And Shannon, Minnesota Book Award winner. Your book, Dream Country and See No Color, both are award winners. Danez, featured on everything under the sun, including the Late Show, Forbes annual 30 under 30 list. Wow, your book, Homie and Don't Call Us Dead. I mean, just y'all, you guys, Black made that? Oh, look what? He holding up your
Hey, what
Hey.
Good points there. That's good.
I was on tour once, and this was 2 years ago, and I don't know where your name popped up. And somebody was like, you know, Danez, can you introduce us? And I was like, what? So I just love that I am friends with important people, and not because we get awards, but because our community loves us. So thank y'all. Now we get to the juicy part where we get to interview each other. And these interviews can be whatever, but you know, it's like, you know, whatever a juicy question is that you want. It can be simple or complex. You know, and Danez, you get ready because you kicking us off. You can ask a question to any one of us. That's it. And then, you know, then the next person will go. And you guys, you can answer it however you want. So if it's something that you're like, not right now, not in this space, you can, you know how we do that. You can give him, okay. So
right, well, I got a question, and I feel like I'm low-key looking for advice because I have found it extremely difficult to access my creativity. I think in like the whole season of Corona, and particularly I think like since like stuff, you know, since George Floyd's murder, I think essays have been easier for me because there's still like a thing about information there that kind of feels like I can trust, or something in prose. Like prose to me is like sort of, maybe this is my own bias, but sometimes for me feels like the like lowest stakes for creativity, even though I can be really creative in that space. There's a different kind of allegiance. And so I think I felt a little bit disconnected from my artist self in these times. And so I'm wondering for y'all, how have you sort of found yourself keeping that tether tied between you and your artist self? Or like, what are your rituals to like bringing that back to you when you feel distant from it?
So shoot that interview question at one person to jump it off.
Oh, just one
question? No,
I
but
can't have round table.
We can get a couple in. So who to answer it first?
Okay, Shannon, how you feel about that question?
I feel like that's a really great question that a lot of creative people are really struggling with, you know? I feel kind of strange, maybe guilty. I don't know. I'm privileged because I'm a professor. I teach at Minneapolis College, and I've been able to structure, you know, basically like my paycheck so that I can get paid through the summer and I don't have to teach. So I spend that time writing. And then with my kids, I've got 2 kids, I'm basically a single mom. And then I'm been here in Michigan with my parents, and they're helping out with childcare, right? That's like, for me, for women writers, you know, like childcare, I was, I love this book. I think he's brilliant. I'm reading Ibram X. Kendi, the book that everybody's reading, you know, How to Be an Anti-Racist. And it's really good. But I was listening to this podcast with him, And it's a podcast about writers and their process and everything. And the woman was asking him about, what are the conditions that you need to write and how do you like to do it? And he's like, yes, well, I like to start early in the morning and then go write all day. I laughed so hard. I was like, you will only ever hear that from a male writer. You will never, I don't even care if you're a woman and you don't have kids. No woman writer I know can like write all day. Like, we've got all these community obligation. Right, Shay, I know you know, exactly. So, those are the kinds of, social constraints, cultural constraints that get in the way of especially my long form writing. I mean, I think first and foremost, I would consider myself a novelist. And so that those, I can write individual essays, I can write individual pieces sort of more piecemeal, but I can't get into like a whole big novel without having blocks of time, like 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. And so for me, it's really been about creating the conditions to make that possible, and again, I feel like I'm a lot more privileged than a lot of people because I have some options that other people I know for a fact don't have.
What about you? What about you, JuCoby? Have you been writing over the last couple months, or did you come to a standstill?
Toward the beginning, when things were being canceled and we were just holed up at home, I sort of realized that I needed to get that weight off me, the weight of feeling like I needed to be creative right now. I had to just let it go. There were so many people trying to get things from me and ask for things and, figure out how to respond to the moment. And I realized I just needed to be still and allow it to be what it is so that I can regroup and think about it. And then, I think, after the murder of George Floyd, I just realized there was something that sparked in me just in terms of, I'm, very new to the game. I've mostly been acting, career-wise. And, now I'm doing a lot more playwriting, and that's very exciting for me. But I realized that I'd been dreaming very small in my life, and I wanted to open it up because I was afraid and I didn't know, dreams can be a scary thing because you don't know if they're going to work out. And I realized that, forget all that. I needed to dream out loud and say what I wanted and name it and be specific and not be afraid of it. So, then now I've just been writing and sort of, basically I'm like, when we come out of this, as theater, whenever theater comes back and we do that thing again, I'm like, words are going to be my weapons. These pages, this computer, this thing, I'm ready. And
that's what I'm talking about. That's it's that reclamation that I feel is the excitement that's happening now. I experienced what you're talking about, Danez, when I had my first child. And everybody was like, oh my God, you're gonna be so creative. You're gonna be a mom, you're gonna have a baby inside you, and you're gonna be writing. And I was just like,
I didn't write anything for, I think, a year and a half after I had my first child. I didn't read a book for a year. That was worse for me. That was worse.
See, I read, but I couldn't create my own material. And then I realized that I cheated. So my cheating mechanism is to actually put myself in spaces. And that's what I've done over the last couple months. Put myself in spaces with artists that I admire, that I know are teaching a workshop or doing a simple something. And then even if I'm like facilitating, then the exercise I do too. And then I have the makings of a piece. And so there's something about having that prompted space. So that really got me going. And then the Playwright Center gave me an opportunity to write a piece, and that just opened all of it started pouring out. And I was like, okay, so sometimes we do need to be nudged by other people. JuCoby, you're up for the second question. Ooh, so okay. You can direct an interview question to anyone. And let's see, okay, yeah. So a short, concise question and a short, concise answer.
Right. I wrote my questions down because I'd be getting nervous when I.
Oh my God, you prepared! I love it. Okay, yes. Here we go.
So I have a question for Danez. I just find when reading your work, one of the most exciting things about it for me is just literally the format, the way that the words appear on the page. And as I go from page to page, I don't know what I'm going to get and what participation it's going to require of me as a reader. And so I wonder, my question is, how does that formatting bit come to be? Is that an afterthought, or is that very much a part of the process of writing it?
I wouldn't say it's an afterthought, because I think the thing about writing to me is like it's all one big thought. It's like all the amalgamations of the thoughts, right? There are like things that come to you in the first draft, and there are things that come to you in the 10th, and that's all part of the making of that thing, right? So I would say from poem to poem, I would say I think it's very rare that some of those more graphic decisions are there from jump, because normally my first thought is just to get the poem out, the lyric out. Sometimes it comes coupled, but not always. And so I think some of those shape decisions come partway through the editing of trying to figure out, okay, what is the best body, the best bridge between my brain and whoever's going to read this thing? How do I make that happen? But I really think what I do, like, thank you for that love, but and I do feel like I dabble in that, but I feel like I'm like, like Coke Zero compared to like the Douglas Kearneys and the Daryl Harrises of the world, folks who are really bringing in that textual visual art question into the space of poetry. So I think what I'm really trying to do is like kind of a half nod to what they're doing. I think Douglas Kearney for me, and thankfully we have him here in Minnesota now. But he's the one who really excites me in that way, to think about how a poem is a piece of art, is sort of the body remade into words again, in that divine way.
Okay, now Shannon, what you got? What question is you want to nudge towards somebody?
I guess my question would be, all right, I'll ask Shay. What do you feel like is the most exciting, or really, maybe not the most exciting, what is a really exciting trait or development that you see in Black arts in Minnesota now? And then also, what's kind of like a liability or something to be careful of?
Oh, I don't know about the liability, but the excitement part, I just see vibrance. That's an easy one for me. There's something vibrant about the Black arts right now. And E.G. said a while ago, he's like, there's a Black arts renaissance that's happening here. And the thing about it that is really like, makes me want to jump outside of my bones is there is permission, and I think JuCoby, you kind of touched on it a little bit. It's like, sometimes when we have that fear that we don't even articulate or even know it's there, that thing that's holding us back, or like, well, I'm not a writer, I'm not, and it's like, sometimes Black people feel like we got to get all the accolades before we can claim the thing. I'm like, you better claim that thing and then move inside that thing fully. And I just love it. It's not just young people either. I see the elders coming up and they're like, I just started writing. I'm doing some storytelling. Can you listen? I'm like, yes. Literally, I go to places and people are coming with pieces like old school back in the day, Danez. And I'm like, all right. And so that's it. I think there is nothing more special than that. Because it's not just about those that, have a certain formality of schooling or whatever. There is a license to get our narratives out there. And I believe we're unstoppable right now. So thank you for that. My question is for all of you guys, but it's a short one. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but we have enough. J. Otis Powell bringing his spirit into the room.
J. Otis, hey.
We're gonna go drive and see him on Lake Superior in Duluth soon, and just kind of hang out at the beach where his ashes were spread. So my question is simple. It is, what is the best thing about Black for you? And a word, a phrase, or a short sentence? I'm gonna start with JuCoby, go to Shannon, and then we're gonna end off with Danez. And don't overthink it either. It should be one to pour out of your mouth.
Best thing about Black, cocoa butter.
Hey, okay. Cocoa butter. Shannon, for you, the best thing about Black, and however you contextualize that, about being Black, the color Black, all that is Black, whatever.
Tradition.
Tradition, I share.
Tradition.
Danez, bring us home.
Timeless. Outside of time. That's what it really is, yes.
Yeah.
Outside of the space-time continuum.
That's what I mean. Like, you know, like, that's why we always late. It's because it's like, look, like I exist on all dimensions.
I mean, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
I do.
For me, I think it's truly powerful beyond words. Sometimes I tell the kids, I can't even, they're like, we'll be watching, a documentary and they're like, are you crying? I'm like, yeah, but they're tears of joy. We're just so powerful. We have done so much. And it's a shame that our full history is not taught in this country. But yeah, powerful beyond words. Okay, so we're at the point where we bring the audience in. And audience folks, we know you guys are having a good time eating your snacks and listening to the good words. So we have a little space for some questions from the audience. And as a reminder, I think Jeremy made let you know how you can send your questions in. But as a reminder, you can send them at pwcenter.org. Or you can, those of you that are watching Facebook, you can put the questions in the comment box under this video. So we'll just see how much time we have. We're gonna end off our time with a couple of more just maybe a couple more questions, and maybe a couple of short pieces to close us out. But let's see what questions are, any questions from the audience. And it could be that you're just, you're having fun and you're not, thinking about typing any questions. We'll continue to use the time to love on each other and to share some of this amazing work with you. Julia, all right, great. The email address is actually questions@pwcenter.org. So you send that to questions, it's spelled out, at pwcenter.org. Otherwise, those of you that are on Facebook, you can put your questions in the comment box right under the video. All right, so as we prepare for some of those questions, I see a couple coming through. I'm just gonna say, JuCoby, I wanna just arm you as time allows, maybe one more question to somebody after we get back an interview, something juicy. Cool. All right, so our first question is from Michael, and his question from a white writer hoping to responsibly write Black characters. Any advice to make sure they respect the characters they are creating? Ooh. All right, who wants to take that one?
Me. I can.
So Shannon, so Shannon wants to take that one. And so Shannon, did anybody else want to say something on that one, or we'll move to the next one after that? Okay, so Shannon, whatever a concise response would be from you.
Okay, so that's a big one to unpack. We could probably have a full hour conversation on that. So I just want to direct you to two pieces that you can access online. One is by Jacqueline Woodson in the Horn book, and it's called Who Can Tell My Story? You need to read that. And then you need to also read an excellent piece by Alexander Chee that was published in Vulture. Yeah, I see Danez nodding. Last year, maybe a few months ago, but he just broke it down. Just Google Alexander Chee Vulture, identity in writing. I don't remember the name of it, but he just goes through and he's like, yo, if you're from a dominant cultural group and you want to write about a cultural group outside of yourself that has been historically marginalized, these are the questions that you need to ask. And honestly and deeply. and here's why.
Fantastic.
So those are just 2 resources that I would direct you to.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, I got a lot to say on that, but I think you just hit them. I think it's like study up and read on those. We have a question directly to Danez from Crystal. And the question is, what do you want to see? What do you want to see your accomplices in training do to continue this powerful movement's momentum, especially in the sense of intersectionality? So what do you want to see your accomplices in training do to continue this powerful movement's momentum? Ooh.
Okay. I think, I don't know. I really feel like folks are moving in really smart and informed ways, having learned from both elders and ancestors and more recent struggles as well. I don't know if I hope for anything different than what folks are finding themselves putting their energy towards. You know, I think the best lesson for these times is like, find your lane and do it well. You know, I think, I think we all sort of find where we plug into these moments, and I think that's all we can ask ourselves. What do I hope that folks do in terms of intersectionality? I don't know. I don't know if those people are like my peers. You know, I wish like there are Black people that I wish like would just like get it through their heads that some of us are queer and trans, and I don't really, but I don't know how much I feel like in partnership with those folks, and I don't know if I feel like I'm in community with Black men who need to like learn that Black women matter. And I know like in a big sense that is like who I'm fighting for, who I love. But I don't know if that's a keep doing. I guess I want folks to hold the biggest possibility for freedom and justice as possible in their hearts when they're like thinking about who they're doing this work for. And to really like ever just expand who you feel like you're fighting for. And if you feel like you can ever look at a group of people and feel like you're fighting for one and not the other, then I don't think you're doing the work right, especially when we're thinking about these Black Lives Matter moments, right? How do Black people matter at every intersection of ourselves and our lives and of our need for well-being and peace. So I guess, ask bigger questions. I guess, maybe that's what folks can do. Ask bigger questions, ask questions that include more people in your fight.
Fantastic. Why don't we direct this next one to you, JuCoby? It's from Aaron. I'm curious about how and if being in Minnesota in the Twin Cities, the setting, the environment, the people inspires or informs your work as Black writers. And also, what is it about Minnesota that has felt like a creative home? So I think those kind of go together. Mm-hmm. And a little bit of like, why do we stay here? What is it in Minnesota that is like our creative space or zone? Mm-hmm. What would you say to that, JuCoby?
Yeah, I mean, because I'm up here from Florida. I was born in Florida. I moved up here in 2011. And the thing about this community is, especially the Black artist community, is the support and the kindness around each other's work. I know at least as an actor, there's so many times where you get brought into a space and they're never trying to put you in a play together. They're always trying to get you into that one slot that they have for you that, and it's only one or two, maybe one Black man, one Black woman, if they even have roles for Black women in this play. And the thing that I love is I have found that the actors I've been around, the writers I've been around are very incredibly supportive, and they want to see you win. There is not this thing where they're like, I want you to fail so I can succeed. They want everyone to succeed, and they want us to be able to actually be learning from each other, not in competition, but to be in community with each other, to really be together. And so I think that is something that makes this community special. And then also just our ability to do our own work, our ability to gather even in this space and to be in community with each other and to, to really just hold each other up and make sure that we good, whether it's in your work or in your personal life.
I love it. I think also for me, I found my mentors here, and I just feel like there's an ability of these cities to kind of embrace you and take you in. You can find some of your people. It might not be a ton. And then the last thing is probably that I feel like I can be my whole self. I mean, I imagine that I could be myself in other places too, but my experience here, you know, is not like, oh, why are you directing now? Why are you writing plays? Why are you trying to do film? Why, you know, it's like, I feel like I grew my arms here and in a space that allows you, you know, it's a garden that has, you know, things move out, make room for you, as opposed to there's too many of us here. There's too much, there's too many carrots. You got to go somewhere else. So Shannon and Danez, did you guys want to add anything onto that? Just in terms of what is about Minnesota that felt like a creative home?
I mean, I think it's, you know, I mean, there's a lot of different things. I mean, I think, you know, not to get too, you know, I don't know, in the weeds, but I mean, I do feel that, you know, there is this arts infrastructure here, you know, that is really amazing, and that is not present in a lot of other communities around the country, that really keeps people, not just Black artists, but, you know, artists from all different communities here. And I do feel like, I don't know, you know, you have this love-hate relationship with where you're from. You know, I'm a Midwesterner through and through. I'll never live anywhere else. So like the West Coast is like too flighty for me. The East Coast is too mean for me. Like I'm just, you know, I'm just, and the Midwest pisses me off, right? Minnesota pisses me off with the whole, you know, Minnesota nice and all of that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, this is the landscape I know. This is the landscape I recognize. And I think that there's some things too, when we think about creativity, and again, what are the conditions that really make creativity possible and especially allow it to flourish? Sometimes they're the things that you don't expect. Like say, I mean, I'm gonna say something very unpopular here, 6 months of winter. I'm just, you know, like if you're shut in that whole time, right? What are you gonna do? Like, right. I do think, and I talk to a lot of artists who talk about how those winter months are really this space to sort of, you know, with the season, right? Like go inward, right? And like, you know, a rebirth almost, you know?
And also how we build community as Black people in the winter time. And that's not necessarily for us to tell all y'all out there, but we know, you know, and I think there's some special things about how we do come together in the winter, but also in crises. You know, and it's like, sure, you know, there's a bunch of things we can uphold as artists and how we've been taken care of, but we also have had to deal with a lot of ish in this state. And so there's some connective tissue, some scar tissue that we share in common that kind of holds and bonds us together. So yeah. Danez, anything from you?
Can I just add one more thing? Just real fast. I just want to also say that I think that in the Twin Cities, because we've been whited out for so long, and because there's these huge other ethnic and cultural communities of writers, you know, like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, it's like, you know, you don't just have the Latino writers, right? You've got the Colombian writers over here and the Puerto Rican, and it's like, there's so few of us writers of color and Indigenous writers here that we really had to bond together to not get whited out in a way that I think makes a very particular form of artistic community, BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, people of color community.
Beautiful. Yeah, I don't know if I can say nothing that y'all haven't really said better. I will say growing up here, and I think this is sort of building on Shannon's point about just there being such a great infrastructure to be an artist here, right? I remember growing up here, there was just a reverence that folks talked about other artists from here with. Even in my little like Baptist, you know, like not too far from Mississippi family, where like the question was like, what are you gonna do to have a job when you grow up? And that was like halfway scared of queer people and all this other kind of stuff, you know, like there was always a sort of reverence that I remember my family, and I think they learned it in Minnesota, that they talked about folks who did work in the community with, that person was a storyteller or a poet or a playwright, and that was something you didn't like, that you put respect on, you know, like, oh, that person is a teacher, and we like respect that. And I have found, as I started to move out of Minnesota, that maybe was something unique to here, that we did treat our artists with a certain type of reverence and respect. Even in the infrastructure, right? That to have an artist was a livable dream here, you know, and that there was a city that was ready to support that dream in some ways. Not to say that, you know, that we should be like thankful to these grants and all that, but like I feel super blessed to live in a place with so many theaters, with so many publishers, with so many folks who are thinking about not only art, but how to feed those artists. And that just growing up in there, I feel lucky to be in Minnesota because it never made me question the value of artists, not only in our lives, but in our communities and like in every sector of where we live.
Thank you for that. And I'll just add activists on that too. Artists that are, you know, not just kind of, you know, moving through life like, you know,
that you say something with that, yeah.
Yeah. I actually got down on my knees and that was in one of my prayers just this week. Because I think that's a privilege that we don't feel like, oh my God, am I the only one that's, you know, to be able to have folks that will show up on your back lawn and just talk, and we build and plan, and then we change stuff. There is one more question that slid in, but we won't answer it now. We'll answer it at the end, and it will just maybe reshape it into one person. So the question was, aside from the people on this panel, who are the writers or actors or creatives work who you're inspired by? So maybe just thinking of one person. I know there's a long list for all of us, but maybe it could be one person, or it could be somebody right now, you know what I mean? Or somebody once upon a time. So if we can maybe each get that in before we're done. We have about 10 minutes left, and so JuCoby, we kind of put you on deck for another interview question. So maybe you can ping that interview question to someone. We'll still keep it pretty concise in terms of the answers. And then, yeah, we'll see if we can get just a few more snippets of pieces. I think we're doing good in time. We might actually, and you can pass if you want to, but yeah, let's see where we go in terms of time. So JuCoby, you're up.
Cool. My question is for you, Shá. Just thinking about, you know, as you are a change maker and an activist and a, you know, space maker for people, how have you navigated being in predominantly white spaces, particularly as an actor? What are the sort of things that you do to make sure that you are, you know, navigating that space, but not compromising who you are and what you know your mission to be?
Oh, I just show up and I just say Black made that. Just kidding. I'm silly. That's a good question. Honestly, I have to thank my my ancestors, my grandmother, my aunties that raised me, and they just instilled in us from the very beginning to be yourself. Mm-hmm. And I know it's so easy. It's much easier said than done. But there was something in that when I can't, you know, as I move through life, I really try to push against who I am versus who I'm not. And so if I've come to those spaces, and they also instilled in us that we can be anything. Like, so I remember my early days. I remember Lori Carlos, may she rest in peace. But she was like, you think you can do everything? And I was like, I can. You know, I was young, but I really thought I could. And I would show up at these auditions. You know, I remember showing up at like Wuthering Heights or something. And I was like, I'm here for the audition. And they were like, what role? And I was like, any role. You know, we're thinking outside the box, right? So I just kind of can't. That's it. I think I've been privileged to have that kind of upbringing. And that doesn't mean that I'm ignorant of, you know, the energy in the room, the assumptions, the expectations, et cetera. I really try to question them, but I also am learning that we are each other's army. And so, you know, sometimes I think, particularly in Minnesota, you know, we're meant to still feel like we're the only one or isolated when there's like only two of us. And I'm like, girl, I don't know you, but let's go on lunch break. Let's figure out who we are together. Let's talk so we can have some kind of shared experience. And I know we're not monolithic, but it's like pod up. Don't act like you don't see me, I see you, so I be podding up real good, because I think that we are each other's armor and army and protection. So thank you for that question. I think there's a lot of trauma that a lot of us carry from being in some of those spaces that can attack us. But we strong, we powerful. And once you do that enough, people know, like, she coming in the room and she herself, and don't try to make her do those random accents, when you didn't talk to her about that and what you trying to do, So because we come with knowledge also, you know what I mean? And I keep telling my kids, somebody asks you an ignorant question, come back with them with some of your knowledge and say, what is it that makes that question come out of your mouth? Put the question on them. And they're like, well, Mom, I wouldn't do that. I'm like, you will when you get older, because I'm gonna keep drilling that in your head. So thank you for that. All right, so do you guys have another little piece, maybe something to drop, or does it? Okay, so here it's open platform for the last 2 minutes. So you can either share another little something, or you can speak to the last question that's on the docket, which is an individual or a creative that has inspired you, you're inspired by. Or the third option is you can ping a short question or another interview question to someone in closing. So I will turn it over to Shannon.
I did not have another piece.
What about your inspirations?
Yeah, I have so many inspirations, and I feel very fortunate. I'm constantly being inspired by artists of all kinds. Let's see, not a surprise at all. Baldwin is my favorite writer of all time. I'm not gonna say he's the reason why I started writing, because I started writing when I was 6, and you can sort of guess the quality of writing that came out when I was 6. But I think he made me feel so much less alone. And just that there were other ways of being Black, right? He just opened up so many possibilities to me. So I just adore his work. And then, another boring answer, but true, is Morrison. I don't know what to say.
Oh, never be a boring answer.
It's like, yeah.
Ashay. Okay, we got like 4 minutes left. Danez.
Okay, cool. I really I'm gonna do a music answer for folks in Minneapolis. I really have been loving Do Salah's news project. They are incredible. A young genderqueer Black artist doing sort of like Afro funk rock, some shit. I don't know. Their songs make me very horny, and also feel very Black. And like, it makes me want to like go to a march and then march straight back to bed. And so that's all I can really ask for the work. I've also been dipping into the Zulu / Astro Black, when they changed their name, archives a lot, and enjoying them. So I've been like really feeling like very blessed by like Black Twin Cities musicians lately, have been blessing my spirit, and it feels like I don't know, we make some good music here. Like everybody like here, it's like once you become here, like something about all these white people in this white snow makes you like be extra Black, and so so I've been like filling my house with like extra Black music from here. It seasons the food more, it's like a cast iron sound.
I love it. JuCoby.
I'll say the person I've been saying for a couple of weeks now when people ask me what I'm reading, and it's Hanif Abdurraqib.
Woo!
I mean, he talks about music in a way that I've always felt music, but did not have the language for. When I read his book, Go Ahead in the Rain, about Tribe, I was like, this is everything I've ever wanted to say about Tribe Called Quest, and he captured it. I think he's incredible. And he made me care about Carly Rae Jepsen as an artist, which I did not expect to happen in my life. So Hanif Abdurraqib for me.
Shay. I always say that I receive inspiration from the elders and then the little kids. So I love to put myself in little kid spaces because they give me the juice that I need. So right now I'm inspired by my own kids who are finding their own artistry, both through drawing and also writing their first little raps. So I'll just give a shout out to Jordan Vasliki and Jalen Zay. And then I will give another shout out to my mentor, J. Otis Powell, who taught me that there's infinite possibilities. I'm going to close out with just the beginning, just the very beginning of the piece that I wrote that is on the website that we launched, Black MN Voices. For those of you that have just come on, please go to the website, support the project. There's over 55 amazing Black voices to lift up. And there's featured works now, and they'll continue to rotate. There's upcoming, the Star Tribune has been so excited that they're gonna feature artists every single week throughout the rest of the summer and maybe into the fall. There's other opportunities that artists are gonna be featured as well. This piece is called Run. 37 days into home quarantine and the walls have closed in and opened and closed again. The hysteria of a lack of ventilators, or as Trump calls them, generators, masks, access to healthcare, testing, and just truthful and clear information has been suffocating. Police brutality, homelessness, and unemployment skyrocketing. Racist attacks on Asians across the world, the senseless killing of Ahmaud Arbery, tapped out relief aid, funding cuts and lack of transparency therein, the rise in domestic violence, inequities hyper-defined, challenges of homeschooling, theaters and places of entertainment closed indefinitely, Zooming becoming the new normal, artists falling through the cracks and just day to day making ends meet. And of course, there's the death toll numbers, the bodies on ice still awaiting burials, and the cases of people who weren't able to have funerals in this time. I have friends in this number whose spirits were unable to get a traditional community send-off, as many of us are accustomed to. May they rest in peace. I find myself thanking the universe for the gift of prayer. Some days it's all I got, to rise up in the morning and get down again on bent knee, to meditate and pray for all that has been lost. Most days, this practice is grounding and restorative. It places me in a calm and understanding that allows me to face tomorrow excited about what new can be built out of this rubble. But once in a while, the thoughts and dreams and late night news spin in an unstoppable tornado of mental madness. The darkest what ifs threaten to explode and the walls are closing in ever so slowly, just like in those old movies where the water is rising from below. And then out of nowhere, like a glimmer of neon or light or whatever the hell that thing is that feels like hope in a never-ending tunnel of darkness, I realize I'm not alone, that there are others like me. We women of the sun, as my grandmother used to say, sun-kissed and blessed with kisses no one like us can ever understand, because our past and present and our simple day to day is complicated. Shenge spoke truth, complicated in the ritual of putting simple pen to paper to illustrate the feeling of being brown and black and female and stuck in the belly of a pandemic who's got it out for you and yours, unable to move or yell or holler or break things when the voice inside of you is screaming and shouting and punching the insides of this strangely surreal, dank place. You've been swallowed whole without notice or warning or hell, not even that tiny pink note that the job issues to say, pack your things and leave. There was no time to run, literally none. So you stood in place and looked out at the mess of madness and scrambled for balance, for safety. You searched the faces of your people for answers, and like a morning dew falling delicately, round sunrise, without announcement, there is a quiet peace, that light, that glimmer, that neon. Your sisters surround you like a blanket of dahlias. There is something ceremonious happening here. Their bodies are soaked in protective oils, and they wear nothing but their babies on their backs and around their necks. I cannot see their eyes, for they are closed in prayer, in chant and silent song. There is union here, kindred to our ancestors' sway and whispers on boats across the Atlantic. One by one, I orbit each of these women, straining to witness the wholeness of their prayers. And it goes on. We thank you for joining us today. I just give love and praise to Danez Smith, to JuCoby Johnson, to Shannon Gibney, to all of the other 55 plus artists that are in a moment of silence. We say his name again, George Floyd, and we thank you for being here in this Black space. Remember, Black made a lot of the things around you. Teach the children, teach the others. Ashe. I'm Shá Cage. I love y'all.
Love you. Thank you, Shay. That poem was
Love
beautiful.
you. Thank you.
Love you, love you.
Good night.
Thank you, Playwright Center and HowlRound. We are signing off. Let's go eat something Black, y'all.
Yes.
Hey.